As Mayor of Charlotte and Chairwoman of the Metropolitan Transit Commission, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's event. We've got many special guests here, and I'd like to recognize them, and they include, of course, our Governor, Pat McCrory, Federal Transit Administrator Peter Rogoff, UNC Chancellor Phil DuBois, Mecklenburg County Commission Chair Pat Gotham, District 4 City Council Member Michael Barnes, Senator Malcolm Graham, Mayor Pro Tem Patrick Cannon, Josh Ward, Field Representative for Senator Richard Burr, Carrie Cook, Regional Liaison for Senator Kay Hagan, in the back, Tori Jessup, District Director for Congressman Mel Watt, and also Council Members Doolin, Pickering, Mayfield, Autry, Cooksey, Howard, Mitchell, Barnes, well, I've already introduced Barnes and Cannon, and also our CAT CEO, Carolyn Flowers. Thank you all for being with us today. Throughout our efforts to advance transit across our region, we've enjoyed strong support from all levels of government, as well as many businesses and institutions. And many of those on stage today and in the audience have played critical roles in turning our shared vision into a reality. On behalf of the citizens of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg region, I'd like to thank you for your unflagging efforts. This extension would not be possible without your support. Today is a momentous occasion because we break ground on the LYNX Blue Line extension. We take another step forward in advancing rapid transit in our region. And in doing so, we take another step forward in giving our citizens more access. Access to jobs, access to higher education, access to cultural and entertainment, access to a better life. The Blue Line extension will give our residents that kind of access. It will take riders to major employment centers like Charlotte Center City and University City. It will take them to places of higher education like UNC Charlotte's University and Center City campuses. It will take them to great health care at Carolinas Medical Center's University campus. And when this line opens in 2017, riders will be able to transfer, and I want a big applause this time, to the GOL line that will take them on to even more destinations like Central Piedmont Community College and Novance Presbyterian Hospital. Yay! But building our transit system isn't just about helping people who are already here. It's about preparing for the people who will be coming in the future. Charlotte is the fastest growing urban area in the country, and in the coming decades, we can expect tens of thousands more people to move to our region. We need to plan proactively and purposefully for that growth. And building a regional transit system that takes cars off the road is one of the best ways to do it. At the same time, as we work to continue to attract businesses and residents to our region, having 21st century transit system is a major draw. Transit facilitates commerce, it creates walkable communities where people want to live, and it helps our environment, benefiting us all. For all those reasons, transit is integral to our region's future growth and prosperity, and we must continue to build out our system. I want to extend my personal thanks to Senators Hagan and Burr, Representatives Watt, Hudson, and Pittenger, and former Representatives Myrick and Kissel for their continued support in advancing our system. I also want to thank our governor, who has been a champion of this line from the very beginning and helped us maintain state funding for it. Also, to Administrator Rogoff for all of his work and the work of his staff to make public transit a critical success in communities across our country. I greatly appreciate your leadership and the tireless efforts each of you have contributed to this project. And I look forward to continuing to partner with you as we build out our system in the years to come. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the Governor of North Carolina and my friend, Pat McCrory.
You know, it's very rare in one's life that someone can see the fulfillment of a vision. And it was a vision by many people, both past and present. And just to review a little history here, and I want to give credit where it's due to both past and current leaders. I want to first thank Mayor Richard Vinroot and former Chairman Parks Helms, who came up with the original concept of a committee of 100 in 1994 to come up with a master plan for transportation. 100 people and 100 business leaders and community leaders. Then in 1995, my administration started out with a committee of 10 to bring that report to implement those things that we thought were pragmatic and affordable. And also we came up with a plan to pay for it. And that's when, I believe in 1998, we took it to the voters, ended up taking it to the voters twice to keep the funding for our mass transit. Not just light rail, but also the bus system that you see behind us, which was revolutionary and doesn't get the credit it deserves, our excellent bus system in this region. I also want to say that I need to thank former mayors who were on the members of the Metropolitan Transit Commission from the very beginning, because the very first plan submitted to the federal government, approved by the MTC, especially I want to thank Lee Myers, the mayor of Matthews, who could have, from a regional standpoint, he could have said this blue line doesn't benefit Matthews, or some of the mayors on the north side of town said this blue line doesn't benefit Cornelius or Huntersville or Mooresville. They could have walked away and said we're not going to do it. But they stuck with us and agreed that this blue line, it's really a blue line. It's not blue line extension. This has always been the blue line that we applied for. This was always the initial vision, is this line going from the south I-85 all the way to UNCC. And a regional group of people made that determination. And a lot of people in this community leaders and business leaders helped make it happen. I also want to let you know, I want to thank those in the federal government. President Clinton and his administration, I remember Erskine Bowles helped us out a lot with this. And it was relating the first grant for the blue line. This was the total line. And then I also want to thank the Bush and President Obama for continuing that continuation of federal grants, which helped us get to this point in time. I especially want to thank 3 federal representatives in which this blue line would not be occurring without them. Most people will be surprised about the first name, but the person who first got the first grant were 3 people: Senator Jesse Helms, Congressman Mel Watt, and Congresswoman Sue Myrick. Without those 3 working together in a bipartisan effort, we would have not gotten this first federal grant back in 1998-99 period. And that's how long it's been. I just want to bring back a little history, and believe me, it was a lot of work by other transit people for Carolyn Flowers, who I just think so much of. You've got a great transit director here. Y'all need to give her another round of applause, because she helped make it happen. I also want to thank at least 7 city councils who have worked on this and made continuous votes. I see my friend Smudgy here. I also want to thank 2 city council reps that made sure this remained a part of our plan and we just didn't stop at the south line. And that's Malcolm Graham, who was a city council member at one time and now he's a state senator. He worked with me a great deal, a lot of meetings, and went to Washington, D.C. with me to make sure that line occurred. Pat Cannon, thank you for your leadership. And also, I want to thank Michael Barnes. When he became the rep here, Michael, you continued the pressure on me and Mayor Fox and others to make sure we wouldn't forget it. And I really appreciate that. And also, I want to thank Mayor Fox and Mayor Kinsey for continuing the dream and now making sure we fulfill this dream. Ron Tober, Carolyn Flowers. I also want to thank Speaker Tillis. There were several efforts during the last 5 years where this could have died in the North Carolina legislature. The matching funding for this line, which is, by the way, matching funding from the state of North Carolina is helping pay for this. There were a lot of pressures to kill this line during tough financial times, and I want to thank Speaker Tillis for fighting for me and for Mayor Fox to continue this effort. But more than anyone else, I'm going to tell you a little story. This line was dead at a certain point in time. I forget the exact year, but at the point in time, we knew the numbers did not work for the North Line. Ron Tober and I brought the numbers up to the federal government, and they said, unless you go through UNCC campus, you will not get a federal grant. That's what we were being told by the Bush administration. And at that point in time, the UNCC administration wasn't sure whether or not they wanted the light rail line to go through UNCC campus, until this guy, Phil Dubois, came. And in his first week as chancellor, I came to him as mayor and said, your decision will make or break this line happening. And he said, bring it on. He said, bring it on, Mayor. And without Phil Dubois and UNC Charlotte making that decision to do the curve, and it was a pretty big curve, Caroline, if I recall, into the UNCC campus, the numbers wouldn't have worked in order to get the formula matched from the federal government or the money from the state government. So for Phil Dubois to say, we want to be part of transit, and then the continuation of this great UNCC campus, as the Mayor Kinsey mentioned, this connects us. This connects the region to education, to work, to jobs, to entertainment. And this is the fulfillment of one part of a major dream that so many of us were a part of. And I just want to commend the current and past leadership for their visionary steps to continue to make it happen. Let's don't stop there, okay? There's more to come. Thank you, and may God bless each one of you.
Good morning. I'm Peter Rogoff, and I'm President Obama's Federal Transit Administrator. And before I talk about this fabulous investment, I need to pass a special thank you to the people of Charlotte, North Carolina. We are incredibly proud to have Secretary Fox as our leader at the U.S. Department of Transportation, and I'm grateful to you for letting him have us. You know, it's really quite incredible, but in just 2 weeks on the job, it's become clear to all of us at the Department of Transportation that Charlotte's loss is clearly the nation's gain. Mayor Fox has set us on a clear course, focused on efficiency, providing maximum services to the public in the most cost-effective way. You know, the governor will know this. There is a special wisdom that mayors bring to these challenges. Mayors don't have the luxury of just lapsing into loud partisan arguments with no productive end. Mayors put services in the ground. And mayors are answerable for whether those services reach the public or not. And that is the mindset that Anthony Fox is bringing to the entire national enterprise of transportation, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have his leadership, and we want to thank you for the lend of him over these next several years. Surely one of Mayor Fox's greatest accomplishments as mayor was in the planning, financing, and finalizing of this extension of the Blue Line. Today we're breaking ground on a project that represents the best of Charlotte's vision for itself. And when we're done, we will have doubled the length of this light rail network. We will have doubled the ridership by another 18,000 riders each weekday. And we will create over 7,000 jobs now precisely when we need them. It's a major investment, and the Obama administration is thrilled to participate in half of it, providing $580 million of North Carolinians' federal taxpayers' money back to North Carolina. And importantly, this is going to be an investment that'll pay off. It'll pay off for all the construction workers that'll be bringing home a regular paycheck for the next several years. It will pay off for the 18,000 weekday commuters that will know that they will get home in time to supervise homework. They will get home in time to see that Little League game. They will get home in time to have dinner with their family. That won't be putting up with punishing congestion, and will bring some certainty to their life and certainty to their wallet in not handing over higher and higher sums at the gas pump each week. It'll also pay off for the students of UNC Charlotte. The transportation between the main campus and this campus right here is going to be seamless for them. And they're going to save the money of not having to put $3.54 or more per gallon into a gas tank, and instead be able to spend that money on books and tuition and their future. Importantly, we don't talk about this enough, but providing a rail connection between the center city and a campus means that when the students come down and party on a weekend, they're not driving home. And that's a benefit to the safety of all of us. You know, at the U.S. Department of Transportation, we are keenly focused on the recent decennial census. And let's talk about what that census told us. It told us that as a nation, we're going to grow by over 100 million citizens between now and 2050. 100 million more citizens. And most of that growth is going to happen in places that have already experienced rapid growth. States like North Carolina, cities like Charlotte, cities like the communities around the Research Triangle. When you're facing growth this dramatic, you have two choices. You could plan for it, or you could be overwhelmed by it. And we can see through projects like this one that Charlotte is planning for it. And one of the reasons why Charlotte is going to succeed is because they have good partners. As the governor pointed out, this project is all about partnership. As I said, the Obama administration is thrilled to finance half of this extension. But it also has to be recognized that 25% of the cost comes from the vision of the people of this region by voting to tax themselves to invest in their future. And of equal importance is the state of North Carolina, which is paying another 25% of the cost of this project. That's why I'm so glad Governor McCrory is here. As mayor, he helped convince the North Carolina legislature to fund 25% of the Blue Line. And as North Carolina plans for an even more populated future, as North Carolina plans for even more transportation investments, not just transit investments, transportation investments of all kinds, whether it's highways, high-speed rail, that state contribution is going to be key. Whether it's here in Charlotte with all the plans you have for further extensions around these communities, or in the Research Triangle, where two communities have already voted to tax themselves for a brighter and more prosperous future through transit investment, that state contribution is going to be key. The Obama administration commends your vision by taxing yourselves, investing in yourselves, recognizing what your future looks like, and planning for it. We look forward to being your partner. The contributions of the people of the state, the people of the community, and the federal taxpayer is going to be what makes it all happen. Thanks so much for having us. Let me also take a moment. It's my responsibility and a welcome one to introduce Dr. Dubois. As the governor pointed out, Dr. Dubois' leadership was critical to making sure that the Blue Line extension got over the finish line. But importantly, it's the right vision. We see this in cities all across the country. When you connect major employers like universities with the center city, it only inures to the benefit of everyone, the entire economy. All over the place, we have communities where a student's ID serves as their transit pass. And when all these graduates of the UNC system, and particularly UNC Charlotte, deploy around the state and deploy around the nation as leaders of tomorrow, they're going to want to know where the light rail is, because it was such a common part of their life as a student at UNC Charlotte. And that's going to help build our transit future going forward. So thank you, Dr. Dubois, for your vision and your assistance in making this happen.
Thank you all for being here. I'm so pleased to be part of this hot lineup. Governor and, of course, Mr. Rogoff have said it all, but not everyone has said it, so I'll add my few words. And Governor, it's so great to have you back in Charlotte, and I very much at a personal level appreciate your words. And Peter, I think we've only met on 2 occasions, and both times you had green involved. One time you were announcing the funding, and then today you were good enough to wear the school tie, so that's great. I'm also pleased to tell you that in the audience here, Karen Popp, chairman of the UNC Charlotte Board of Trustees. Karen will be with us when we break ground, because the decision to bring light rail to our campus really is an institutional decision and could not have been made without our trustees. So thank you, Karen. Aside from helping support our anticipated growth, and I should just mention to you that we have 26,300 students, and we'll have more in the fall. And as Governor Pat mentioned, this decision really goes back to July of 2005, when I had a chance to meet with him in his office, and he stressed how important it was both for the university and the campus. It really was an easy decision, particularly when you look out in the future and see the kind of growth we expect, which could take us to 35,000 students or more. We're also excited not just because of the role light rail will play in helping us manage that growth. I mean, we simply couldn't have enough parking and parking lots for all of those students and faculty. We view it as important for the access it provides, not only for our folks to come into Center City, but of course the access it provides for the city to access the university campus and University City, including the university's only and the city's only Division I football program. As I thought about it, probably football and light rail are the only two things I've worked on consistently since I became chancellor, and it's great to be at this point. We've worked hard on this. I think everyone involved. The initial decision to bring light rail on campus, and then a lot of complicated decisions about what route it would take, where the stops would be, the granting of the easements, and recently the decision to put the utilities underground in front of the campus. And so let me give my personal shout out to numerous university staff and members who worked on this, but also, of course, to then Mayor McCrory, then Mayor Fox, Ron Tober, and now Carolyn Flowers and her staff, Kurt Walton of the city, Ron Carley, Ron Kimball of the city, Ruffin Hall, just too many players that all had to make it work, and sometimes those decisions were tough ones, but they got it done. And I think we got it done because everyone realized that the benefits to the city and the community were too significant, not just the job creation in building the line, but in terms of the long-term potential for development along the Northeast Corridor. There's going to be enormous urban revitalization here, and we stand ready to assist with it. It is now my pleasant task to introduce Pat Cotham, chairwoman of the the Mecklenburg County Commission. As the governor mentioned, the county's voters twice voted to support the funding for the light rail line. Pat?
Thank you, Chancellor Dubois, and thank you, Governor, for giving us that history lesson. History is important, and we need to remember, you know, how this all started. And we're standing on the shoulders of those people, many of whom are not here. So I'm sure that they're looking down upon us with great pride. So our history is important, and we are a part of that history today. And there'll be times when this is extended, they'll look back to this day. But as I'm here with my colleagues, it is a great pride as chair of the Mecklenburg County Commission and a member of the Metropolitan Transit Commission to see the vision that was created in 1999, and it's moving forward. We realized the first goal of our vision with the introduction of the LYNX Blue Line in 2007. And I'm as excited as we prepare to break ground for the next phase and continue to advance rapid transit in our region. A cornerstone of that vision is integrating land use with rapid transit to create pedestrian-friendly communities in and around the LYNX station. This is going to be such a wonderful development for the North Tryon corridor and for NODA. I worked in the NODA area for 3 years at 26th Street, and it's just going to be, there's so many small businesses over there, it's just going to be wonderful. And this strategy is key to managing the rapid growth occurring in these areas, and it will certainly invigorate existing communities in providing transportation choices. We've already seen the success of the strategy along the LYNX Blue Line in the South End, with more than $1.4 billion in private development of residential, office, and retail. This morning I was at the Chamber of Commerce with our wonderful leader, Bob Morgan, and Natalie English. I don't know if Natalie's here, but they've also, Natalie is waving in the back. I see her hand going up. But you know, the Chamber has also been a partner here and will continue to help build and to bring businesses here and to work with the state to bring more businesses here. And I thank you, Bob, for being here and all that you do at the Chamber. As we begin construction, I look forward to similar development along the LYNX Blue Line extensions, creating an inviting system of mixed-use development. In closing, I want to thank everyone here today for your support in this endeavor, because I believe you understand the vital role that the public transit plays in communities, protecting the environment, saving energy, reducing pollution, helping to alleviate traffic, and providing access to jobs. You know, we need jobs, but creating this infrastructure is going to make the job of the Department of Commerce and Bob Morgan's job easier if he can talk about this. So we are a city on the move. We are a city on the move, and we have been, and this is just going to add to our reputation. But thank you again, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the CEO of Charlotte Transit. And I also like to recommend, we also are glad to see some women up here. So we look like the community, and I'm very happy about that too. So I'm very proud to introduce the CEO and my friend Carolyn Flowers.
A lot has been said today about what we have done, and I want to talk about the capital T, the big team, because we wouldn't have been able to do what we have done without everyone here today. And I really want to thank the CATS team, the city, and the support of our new city manager, Ron Carley. And I have to thank our council members for all of the support that you provide to us and the support that you have given us to keep this project moving. And then there's all of you. You have embraced transit. We've had the regional support. I want to thank the MTC members, the chamber, the university. The partnership here has definitely kept the vision moving. And without you, the system wouldn't be where it is today, and the plans for the future would not be in front of us. Since opening the North Carolina's first light rail system in 2007, the Charlotte region has overwhelmingly embraced light rail, and that is evidenced by the ridership projections that we had in the first year, where we were over 50% of the projections, and we are nearing the 20-year projected ridership with only 5 years of operations. This has made CATS and Charlotte a model across the country on how to build a successful rapid transit system. We have rapid transit systems, city chambers, elected bodies from all across the country visiting us each year to see what this community has accomplished. And we look at them and they take our ideas back, and we hope that we will continue to be that model in the future. We know that this success could not be achieved without the support of our elected officials, the business community, educational partners, and many other organizations and community leaders. Thank you for the faith that you've had in us. So thank you, community. And of course, none of these connections would be possible without our funding partners at the FTA. I want to thank our regional office, Dr. Yvette Taylor, who's back in there, and her staff has supported us. Headquarters, and we make a lot of calls to headquarters, and they're very receptive and responsive to our needs. And the state of North Carolina, I want to thank the governor for his support of this project from the beginning. Administrator Rogoff and Governor McCrory, we greatly appreciate the leadership and the diligent efforts each of you and your staff have taken to get us to the point that we can advance public transportation for the residents of the Charlotte region. And Administrator Rogoff, please extend my gratitude to U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Anthony Foxx. Without his support during his tenure as mayor of Charlotte and chair of MTC, we could not have reached today's milestone. So getting here has been a long road. We've had help from many partners along the way, but I want to thank the tireless efforts of CATS, the City of Charlotte, City Engineering, FTA, NCDOT, Charlotte DOT, UNC Charlotte, North Carolina Railroad, and Norfolk Southern. Without their dedication, we would not be here today. Now I'd like my colleagues on stage and several of our partners to join us as we officially break the ground for the construction of the LYNX Blue Line. Thank you.